Next up, we have, some call him the most interesting man on LinkedIn. His name is Taylor Offer. I don't see him on here yet, but I'm going to keep on saying nice things about him. He is he's here. Okay, great. I don't see him in the chat. He's known as LinkedIn's most largest influencers. Taylor will share his secrets to leveraging LinkedIn for e-commerce success. As many of you know, LinkedIn is a gold mine right now for organic reach. Learn how you can reach millions of potential customers with Taylor Offer's advice. Taylor, how are you doing today?
Hey, thanks for having me. How you doing?
Well, great. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to leave the floor to you, and hopefully people can learn a thing or two about LinkedIn right now.
Sweet. Sounds good. I am going to figure out how to screen share here. Give me 1 second. Beautiful. I got my desktop here. And then there's no way to really get interactive, show of hands or anything. Let me see if I can figure out that feature real quick. As we're seeing my screen. All right, let's just go with it. Cool. All right, my name is Taylor Offer. Couple things I want to talk about today is I want to talk about why LinkedIn is such a gold mine and why it's such a good opportunity. But before we get there, we really have to talk about the full landscape of social media. So I don't know what level everyone's at here. Normally, if I'm speaking, I'll do kind of a raise of hands and get a read of the room. So I hope this is good. But a couple of concepts I want to talk about before we start that are super important because a lot of people don't see the opportunity in LinkedIn because they don't understand social media deeply enough and social media advertising. So I'm going to jump in and start with some high level things that are really important to know. So a couple of concepts. One is inorganic reach and organic reach. So if this is, if you guys already know what this is, let's just go through it really quickly. It's important to know these concepts. So let's start with organic reach. Let's put this one on top, actually. Organic reach, that is when you're able to reach people on social media or anywhere without paying. So reaching people without paying. Inorganic reach, that's when you pay to reach people. And whatever you're doing in digital marketing and advertising, it's a game of eyeballs. So no matter what, you're trying to get eyeballs that turn into customers. So it's really important. It's a game. First, how do you get as many eyeballs as possible? And how do you turn those eyeballs into customers? You have to pay to get those eyeballs. You could do it through organic reach and do really good campaigns and reach people for free, or inorganic reach. So let's talk about some examples of each. So organic reach. So that means you're posting on social accounts. And these are things like Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, etc. So that is one way to get organic reach. That's a way to reach your customers, but then you have to try to get followers. So if you get some followers on those platforms, you could reach people without paying. Another way you can get organic reach, and if you could partner with some influencers without paying. So if you do actually pay with those influencers, that's going to be inorganic reach because you're paying to reach them. But a lot of times influencers do collaborations for free product or in some way. So you could partner with some influencers. So you could do post on the social medias from the brand account or from a personal account. So everybody watching right now, you are an influencer and you could reach people. Everyone here, I assume, has an Instagram account or a LinkedIn account, or a Twitter account. So you could do it from the brand level or the personal level. So that's organic reach. Then we want to talk about inorganic reach. So that is when you're reaching to paying to reach people. That's, Facebook advertising, Instagram ads, and anywhere you're really paying for influencer campaigns. So that's one major concept. How are you reaching people for free and where are you paying to reach people? So the goal is to get as much organic reach as possible, right? Because you don't want to have to pay to reach people every time. And if you can get organic reach, you can do these massive campaigns without spending anything on advertising, which is really important. So a lot of people, when they think about organic reach, almost everyone focuses on Instagram because every brand has an Instagram page and everyone wants to have a big Instagram following for the clout, honestly. And everyone wants to have this page with massive followers and say, look at our Instagram page. But unfortunately, Instagram is probably one of the worst platforms to be focusing on making content for. So a lot of people are making content for Instagram and then repurposing it on Snapchat or Twitter or LinkedIn or somewhere else, but they're producing for Instagram, which is a really bad thing to do because you have to make content for that platform, which is really, really important to do. So instead of focusing on Instagram, and I'll tell you why you don't want to focus on Instagram. Let's scroll down a little bit here. There's two types of social media platforms: content saturated platforms and content deficient platforms. So a content saturated platform, that's a platform where there's more content than people viewing that content. So if you think about supply and demand, if there's all these people putting out content, but not that many eyeballs to watch content, well, guess what? All this content is not going to be seen by your whole following. So I'm sure a bunch of you have personal Instagram pages here or brand Instagram pages, and you're seeing, I have 1,000 followers on my page and I only get 200 views on my video. Only 20% of those hard followers that I've earned aren't seeing my content, which you don't want that. And that's only going downhill on Instagram because it's a content saturated platform. There's more people creating content than there are eyeballs to view that content. So that's really, really bad for organic reach. That platform as a whole, you're not going to get really good organic reach there. Next, we could talk about content deficient platforms. So these are your gold mines. This is where you want to spend all your focus. So a content deficient platform, an example right now is LinkedIn or TikTok. So these platforms, there's more users, there's more people on the platform consuming content than there is creating. So if we look at that again, there's this many people consuming content, there's this much content being, there's this many people creating content, and there's this many people consuming content. So that means this content that's getting created is getting shown to way more people because there's more people consuming than there is creating. And that's how you're able to go viral on these platforms. So platforms like LinkedIn and TikTok, you could see it's really easy to grow a large following really quickly on. And it's really easy to get a lot of views on your videos because the platform needs content. So we're gonna take a second right there and just let this sink in. Content saturated platforms, content deficient platforms. You wanna be creating on content deficient platforms. Then you can move your audience from there back to the content saturated platforms. But I hate to break it to you, in 2020, you're not gonna go viral on Instagram and you're not gonna grow a big following on Instagram and you're not gonna be able to communicate with your audience on Instagram. So that's not the place you should be looking. And what I've seen with these trends, this has happened over and over again since the history of social media. So this actually started, and this is when I started in social media, back in like 2014 in the Vine days. And I don't know if you guys remember this app called Vine. This is when I first got extremely hooked on social media. I had my company Feet at the time, and I was trying to figure out how we could sell products because we had no money and no advertising budget. So I said, we have to go to these people that get all these eyeballs. And sorry, one second. And there was this app called Vine at the time. And there's a group of influencers, you know, some names that you know now: Logan Paul, Jake Paul, David Dobrik, King Batch, Amanda Cerny. These massive influencers, Shawn Mendes, the singer, they all blew up on this app called Vine because they were all able to create a following when it was a content deficient platform. From there, Vine died, which is fine, but they built their audience on Vine when it was content deficient, built these massive following, and then they migrated the followings to different places. So they migrated the following to Instagram and then to YouTube and then to TikTok or wherever they wanted to migrate it next. But it's really important. The only reason those people are household names that you know today, and believe me, because I know a lot of these people personally, and I've had these conversations with them, is because they took advantage of Vine when it was a content deficient platform, and you were able to get a ton of eyeballs there and a big following. And you could see these trends come and go. So they blew up on Vine, they transitioned over. Then like 2015, 2016, Instagram was a content deficient platform. I don't know if you guys remember the days of Instagram where if you would put a hashtag on a picture, people used to search hashtags and you used to be able to get 10,000 likes on a picture just because you put one hashtag, because people were looking for more content. That explore page, people used to use it all the time to find, you know, more content to see and more people to follow. Now, almost nobody uses the explore page on Instagram. because they can't even get through their own friends' stories or their feed of their friends. So they're not going and exploring and looking for more content. But back in the early days of Instagram, people were looking for more people to follow because they didn't have that many people on the app. It was a content efficient platform. So you could see these kind of come and go in waves and trends. Now Instagram's fully a content saturated platform, but 4 or 5 years ago, it was content efficient. So you have to really time it correctly. You have a very short period of time to time it. And you can see even the past couple of years, or the past 6 months really, with Corona and everything, TikTok has really become a massive, massive content efficient platform. We've seen superstars like Charli D'Amelio or Addison Rae, or these people blow up on TikTok. Almost 100 million followers some of these people are getting on TikTok because so many people are on the app. But realistically, there's a couple hundred people in this room right now, and I would probably bet none of you guys are actually making videos on TikTok, but you might have accounts. And then you probably can name less than 5 or 10 friends that are actively creating content on TikTok. So you need more people to follow. So you're going to follow these people like Charli or Addison. And then the same thing with LinkedIn. So that's why these content efficient platforms, TikTok and LinkedIn, is where you should be focusing, because that's where you can get the most eyeballs. And I want to walk through a little example. I'm definitely going to dive into how we're going to optimize our LinkedIn and take advantage of that. But it's really important because most people do not fully understand the opportunity. And without understanding the opportunity and why it's so important, they just hear me like I'm a crazy guy and say, yeah, I get it. Maybe I should be on LinkedIn. But unless you fully understand the opportunity and why this is so fantastic and why the opportunity for organic reach is so important, you won't dedicate the time and resources, energy into LinkedIn. So I have all my social media open right here, and we're just going to talk through a couple of things. You can see Instagram. I have close to 200,000 followers here. And I'll do a post and get maybe 1,000 likes on it, and this will reach 5,000 people. So you can see the organic reach here is not that good at all. You're not reaching that many people for having this many followers. We'll do LinkedIn last. Let me close this one. We'll go to Twitter, and I got my locker on, but Twitter, I have 2,500 followers, and you could see with some of these posts, you'll reach 3,500 people, which is pretty awesome to say I'm reaching more people than are following me. So this is actually a decent opportunity and a decent platform. As we go down, you could see like some of these posts, 27,000 impressions for 2,500 followers. That's 10x the following. That would never happen on Instagram right now. If you have 2,500 followers, your post will never get seen by 25,000 people. Think about some people here, you guys, if you have 1,000 followers, how many story views do you get? Maybe a couple hundred. Imagine this is 27x, or this is 10x more impressions than followers I have. So that would be, if you had 1,000 followers, that would mean you get 10,000 views per story, which is pretty crazy. So Twitter's a pretty good platform. There's pros and cons to each of these platforms, which I'll talk about in a second. TikTok, almost no following here, only 1,400 followers. But you could see some of these posts on TikTok, as I scroll down, 250,000 views on this. And let's keep scrolling. 400,000 views here. So if you have the right video, I bought a test. You could go insanely viral, 20,000 likes and over 100 comments. So these are eyeballs. If this was a video about your brand, what is this worth to you to reach 500,000 people that are interested in your brand? So it's really important to look at these platforms like TikTok. Facebook, I'm not even going to talk about Facebook. Facebook obviously owns Instagram. And what Facebook did years ago, because Facebook was one of the original places, I used to have Facebook pages, with millions of followers on them, or what they call them Facebook likes. And you used to be able to reach millions of people with posts. Now you could look at this page that I run, Feet, 68,000 followers, are reaching 1,200 people. So it's really pay to play. So Facebook understood, whoa, all these businesses are making a ton of money on this platform. We're going to charge them to reach the followers they already have. And we do spend on Facebook. Yep. Someone just cut in. Oh, okay. I'll keep going. On Facebook, it's really pay to play. So you have to pay to reach people. That same thing is happening to Instagram right now. So it's only a matter of time before what's going on in Facebook. And you could have these massive Facebook pages that reach no one. That's going to happen to Instagram next. Now I want to talk about LinkedIn and why LinkedIn's a gold mine. So LinkedIn, you could see 100,000 followers here, 200,000 profile views. Those are people who are clicking through to my profile, which is like a landing page. But then if you look at some of these posts, what you're able to reach, 170,000 people on this post, 72,000 here, 469,000 here, 100,000 people here, 66,000. So you're able to reach 200,000. You're able to reach an insane amount of people on these LinkedIn posts. And if you're able to sell your brand and market, this is the craziest opportunity for organic reach. So LinkedIn isn't right for everyone. And it's important to talk about the different platforms. You know, if you're really witty and sharp and you could write really quickly and you like, you know, having fun with it, Twitter could be a good platform to go viral on. If you like making videos and content and your brand is more visual, you could be focusing on TikTok. Or what I like about LinkedIn is you could really talk about anything. So you could talk about business, you could talk about personal life. If you could be relatable, you could write these types of LinkedIn posts and get a ton of views. But it's important you set up your LinkedIn the right way and learn how to take advantage of it. So thanks, Graham, for loving the live stream. So I want to talk about LinkedIn because it's the most accessible. TikTok's hard. You got to make videos on it. Twitter's a little hard. LinkedIn, if you're a person, you could talk about anything. You could see some of these posts, like a lot of times you can talk, it's very, very simple content. It's not rocket science. And you just have to post what's on your mind. So before we start talking about posting on LinkedIn, what's really important is to optimize your LinkedIn profile. So a couple of the growth hacks I have here, and everyone after this should go optimize their LinkedIn profile. What I call this is called your micro brand. So your picture, your name, and your tagline right here, this follows you everywhere you go on the platform. Let me show you an example. And we're just gonna go through some random people on the feed and look at their micro brands. Jacob Wasserman, ensuring excellent e-commerce experience, president of Bricks, and his photo. So now wherever you go on the platform, and even if you comment on anything like this guy, Ryan here, wherever you go, this follows you. And this will get someone to click through to your page. So you need your micro brand to be extremely enticing because anywhere you post or comment, you're going to get people to click through. So you can see Ray has a really good one. He's the CEO at Scene, this company, featured in Forbes, Fast Company, LA Times. Good picture. You're probably like, oh, this guy's probably legit enough to click through. So your micro brand is super important right here. It's your profile picture. It shows who you are clearly. Mine has a yellow background because I really want to stand out. It's your name. And then you want to get that tagline. For me, I put best account to follow on LinkedIn because I want people to follow me on LinkedIn and feel like they're missing out if they're not following me. So that gets people, whenever I'm commenting or posting on the platform, whenever people are seeing me for the first time, it's enticing and engaging them enough to click. Because a lot of times on LinkedIn, and I'll show you an example right here, as you go through your feed, you could see LinkedIn is a content deficient platform. So a lot of times, I'm just gonna scroll through my feed. For example, this person, say, Sari Good, oops, didn't mean to click that. Sari Gadir, I'm not connected to. So he's in my second degree connections if we open this up. But because LinkedIn is such a content deficient platform, because one of my connections like this, so Chris liked this post, it's getting shown in my feed, which is unheard of on Instagram. That's imagine one of your people you're following on Instagram likes a post and it goes in your feed. So that doesn't happen on Instagram. It doesn't happen on any other platform really. So that's why LinkedIn's so important, because if you get a like from someone or a comment from someone, it almost counts as a share to their network. So it's really important to look at that and think, wow, this is a massive opportunity. And this is Sari, I hope I'm saying his name right, Sari A. Gadir. You know, if I found his micro brand interesting, I would click through to him and maybe go follow him. So that's why LinkedIn's such a powerful platform. That's a really good example, because you see posts from other people and it's really important to have a strong micro brand. So that's the first thing I want everyone to leave here, no matter what you're doing. Make a strong micro brand on LinkedIn, just so when people see you, they'll click through. So if we look at this profile picture, you know, if you can't get a professional studio shot, take a picture in front of a wall, white wall or background. There's this really cool site. I think it's remove.bg. You could remove any background. So you do that, you upload your picture, you remove the background, put a cool color in here or something, or somebody to stand out. It looks super clean and fresh. Put your name. and then put your tagline. So whatever you're doing, if you're a sales development rep for selling software, don't say sales development representative at this company. Say, I help companies do X. I help companies, get better return on ad spend. I help companies increase their email marketing campaigns. I help companies this. So give people a reason to click through. I 10X sales campaigns. I do this. So if you're doing sales, have something like that. If you're a startup or you have your own company, you're a founder, talk about what product you have or why people should follow you. That's super important. And then if you have anything that you can make it look like you're legit, like a Forbes Under 30 or wherever you're featured or anything, you want to give people a reason to click through. So that's super important, and that's your micro brand. Up here, this is a lot of real estate people don't use. So, if you don't have anything really interesting, you could put a city skyline of wherever you are. You could put some more stats or whatever. You could make something like this. And this is, you have a call to action. For me, I'm really interested in selling this playbook. I'm teaching people how to grow their LinkedIn. So that's right here. As you scroll down, a lot of people don't know, you can really customize your profile in a lot of different ways. So let me see. I think there's a way I could view this as someone else. Give me 1 second. Maybe not right now. Okay, so we're gonna view it as my own, but you could see if you go to my profile, you'll be able to see this, how it'll show, because this stuff doesn't show on my profile and this kind of stuff. But you have your about page, this is where you could use some text to talk about yourself. This featured section, nobody uses on LinkedIn. And this is the hack for e-commerce, because this is something that's clickable. If you click this, you land right on my landing page. That's my LinkedIn playbook. So a lot of people are like, but what about LinkedIn? You can't drive people off the platform. Yes, you can. So you could see, I've had 209,000 people view my profile in the past 90 days. If I got 2% to click through on this right here, that's 4,000 or 5,000 people clicking through to my e-commerce landing page, 4,000 or 5,000 clicks for free. So that's really important to set up a featured section right here, have a picture, have it very clear what it is, everything you need to know to grow your LinkedIn following and get 1 million impressions. I've gone from this many followers, blah, blah, blah. So people will click here. To add a featured section, you just do add profile section, featured, and you could do a link. You type the link and you add more information about it. This featured section is really important. And this is how when you drive people to your LinkedIn page, you're driving them to your e-commerce site or wherever else you want to drive them. So definitely utilize that featured section. As we go down, another hack right here. If you are scared of what to post on LinkedIn and don't know what to do, a really important thing to do is to go to anyone's page. So for example, let's say I don't know what to post, right? I'm gonna go to someone, let's type in Gary Vaynerchuk. And I'm like, I don't know what to post. Let's see what Gary's doing. You can see anything that anyone's doing on LinkedIn. So if you go to activity, see all, you can see all activity. So you could see everything that Gary's liking and commenting on. You could see all articles he's posting, and you could see all of his posts. So let's go through Gary's posts, and you could see his posting cadence and what he's posting. So, wishing you all a really nice and happy Wednesday on LinkedIn. 3,000 likes on that, posted 6 hours ago. More kindness, less judgment, almost 10,000 likes, posted 22 hours ago. So you can see he's posting a couple times a day. Here's the link he posted, so only 200 likes. You could see how links kill engagement. A comic book thing, 15,000 likes. So it's really important to go find some big people on LinkedIn, and you could understand their whole strategy. You could see their posting cadence. So how many times he posts a day, what kind of stuff he's posting. And it's really easy to replicate a lot of these posts in different ways, put your own twist on it, but it could be as simple as, I'm wishing everyone's having a happy Wednesday. And it could be that simple. You could be graphics like this. It could be comics. It could be, this looks like a LinkedIn story that was screenshotted and he put right here. So you could go see what anyone's posting. It's a super important thing to look at. And a lot of people don't understand that. So see all, and you could see everything that anyone's doing. So get an idea what people are doing there. As you scroll down, I think it's really important to have interesting descriptions. So you're on someone's page right now. Most people will just give you bullet points and it'll be really, really boring. Most LinkedIn pages, unfortunately, are boring. So spice it up a little bit. You don't have to be as raw and organic as I am. But, when you're reading these, been through all the shit and still alive, raised millions of dollars, had a big team, been deep in debt, screwed over, hoping to be as transparent as possible. You write about your experience. My first real job out of college, it was a new program. Every year they get thousands of smart people. I honestly don't know why I got accepted. My first 4 months, I was on this, I was doing this, have some fun with it. Same thing with your colleges. If the more personality you could show on your page, the better, because you want to give people a reason to look at your page and then click that follow button, which is so, so important. So that's kind of the basics of setting up your profile. I go deeper into this on my LinkedIn playbook if you want to check that out, but then we can start talking about post. So posting, that's when you start, really, really getting that reach. And you can see those posts I was showing you guys earlier. Per post, you can get hundreds of thousands of views on every single post. So let's talk about some of these posts and I have a full posting framework that I made that you could check out on the playbook, but there's some things I could teach you right now that are very simple to think about. So a couple things. Post, people, they're lazy and they don't want to read big chunks of text. So you can see this does really well on LinkedIn. You go line by line and it's really broken up. So it's super easy and digestible to read. So that's one thing that's important. The next thing is you have 5 lines before getting see more. So in these 5 lines, one of your goals with LinkedIn's algorithm, if someone clicks see more on your post, it's telling LinkedIn it's a good post. And that means they're going to share it further and further. So you want to use those 5 lines to get someone to click that see more button, which is super, super important. So know that in your 5 lines, you have to give people a reason to click see more. Your first line, it always has to catch people's attention. LinkedIn stories is a major game changer. Here's why. It's enticing enough to get you to stop and read it because there's so much going on in the feed. So unless you really stop and you have to get someone to stop scrolling. TikTok is the most democratized social media platform ever. Okay, I'm interested. You could have 0 followers. Oh, I'll see more. So you want to give people a reason to click see more, and then you want to give them a reason to comment. So whether it's a controversial take or you're asking for someone's opinion on something, saying like comment this, or let me try to get a better example. You could end with a question a lot of times, which is really important because that gets people to comment. So as you scroll down, you could see those are some of the basic frameworks. Let's go through some posts live and just kind of talk through them. Perfect example. So I quit my job, sold my things, and bought a one-way ticket to Brazil. Like that is enough to get me to stop scrolling. So I'm like, wow, that's such an interesting headline. It's simple. It's broken out in a lot of different ways. It's easily digestible. I have a lot going on. So it got me to stop scrolling. Traveled solo in South America for a year. Never once did I talk about what I did for work. Okay, I'm interested. A whole year without work, blah, blah, blah. So this is a really good post, broken up. It's interesting. It's clear. It got you to stop scrolling. We'll give it a like. You could see some other posts, whole chunk of text. A lot of times you might not read that chunk of text. Sending cold emails is a hard way to start conversations. Here's an easier way. Boom. This is a value add right here. So if you do send emails, you want to understand, okay, why? Let me read about this. It's a list. You can see it's very clean. I want to click see more. Here's an easier way. And you can learn, some tactics. There's my timer going off. Want more plays like this? Link in comments. So this guy, you could tell he really knows what he's doing on LinkedIn, Josh, because if you put a link in your post, it will kill your engagement. But if you do link in comments, people are still going to click. So here's his link right here. And people can click through here. So if you ever want to put a link, never put a link in your post. It kills your engagement. Put it in the comments. So that's kind of a high level of LinkedIn and how to optimize the platform. There's an insane ability to reach a ton of people. And that's probably the most important things you could do right now on social media. It's all about getting those eyeballs. So I think I'm going to take a break here and see if there's any questions. Let me open up the chat. Is there a way we could get people to ask some questions live? Oh, cool.
I'm going to be here. I'll ask you the questions, and
Cool.
if you can do this together. All right. This one, I'm not exactly sure where it's coming from, but we're going to figure it out together. You are a business owner, but are more notable for your LinkedIn reach. What's next for you and for your business?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what's next for my business, Feet? We're going to continue to scale it. We're making the softest athleisure clothing in the world. So continue to scale and get eyeballs that way. It's interesting with the business, the reach I'm getting on LinkedIn. When I see organic reach like this, like I can't not take advantage of it because it's such a gold mine. But this reach I'm getting from my personal LinkedIn is actually translating to sales for my company and exposure for my company. So the game is still get as many eyeballs as possible and convert them into as many paying customers as possible.
Another question, what is or has been your most popular post?
Good question. One of my most ever popular posts was a post about LeBron James. And it said, LeBron James owns 20 Blaze pizzas, owns a part stake in a soccer team, does this, that, has a full family, travels, plays 100 games a year, and he still sleeps 10 to 12 hours a night and takes a nap, 8 to 10 hours a night and takes a 1 to 2 hour nap. And it said, I promise you, you're not busier than LeBron. Go get some sleep. That post got close to 5 million views on it. And actually the reason it went so viral, which is ironic, but it was funny because everyone was saying they were disagreeing. So a lot of times on LinkedIn, polarizing posts do really, really well. So with that post, the top comment was saying something along the lines of like, yeah, but he has nannies to take care of his people and he doesn't have to work hard. We work harder and we're busier than LeBron. And that got a couple thousand likes on the top comment. So a lot of times when, if you could be polarizing, and if you could deal with the negative backlash from being polarizing, you can get a lot more reach. A lot of people don't have the stomach to deal with the negative backlash. To me, I really don't care. I say what I believe and that's it. So, but if you can be polarizing enough to get people on both sides to engage, it's kind of a hack to get people to fight in your comments and just blow the post up even bigger.
As someone that loves naps, I agree with your sentiment. Next question. What is the most effective way to directly message someone and elicit a response on LinkedIn? So cold messaging.
Great question. So the most effective way to cold message someone on LinkedIn is to not cold message someone on LinkedIn. So the most effective way to actually do it is try to connect with them. And if you can connect with them, that's great because they're opting in to see your post. A lot of people just approve all connections. So if you connect with someone, they're going to start seeing your post. If you can't connect with them, go follow them and go like and comment on their posts. So the same thing I showed you with Gary Vee when we could see all of his posts. Anyone you want to connect with, go see their post, like their post, write real engaging comments, and they're going to like you and you're going to stand out. And believe me, people could see, they start to remember your name when they see you over and over again, making some good comments on their post. Then once you kind of felt like you've commented on some posts and you have a relationship with them, then you can message them and you could leave another comment saying, hey, I sent you a DM, check it out. Or you could just connect with them. But I think it's really important to really engage with people's posts and create a relationship with them first and like their posts, comment on their posts, and just be active because that's what people want. You could also tag them in a post talking about why you think they're awesome or why you want to connect with them and say, I've been following @TaylorOffer on LinkedIn forever. He taught me so much during this eCom week and I learned so much from him and it was awesome to learn from him. And you should follow him too. Like I'm going to see that. And then if that same person messages me after saying, hey, I'd love to chat about this, I'm going to at least respond because you've done so much for me. So I would go and figure out how you can give someone value before just sending them a cold message.
Let's see this one actually. What's the deal with LinkedIn stories?
LinkedIn stories are interesting. So it's a feature that launched this week. It's not, so a lot of times LinkedIn launches features and you don't get that much reach or engagement on it. So for example, LinkedIn launched a newsletter feature and I used that for a while. And on 100,000 followers, I got like 700 views per newsletter. Stories, it's pretty actually comparable to reach on Instagram stories. On my Instagram, I have 166,000 followers, and my stories will reach 4,000 to 8,000 people, depending on the story. On LinkedIn, I have 100,000 followers, and so far I've had my stories reach maybe 2,000 to 5,000 people. So it's similar to Instagram in terms of reach. They might turn it up or down. I would be active on it. The big thing about stories is everyone's just posting, recycling content or videos. Just be authentic and raw and be yourself. Like, end of the day, people want to connect with people, and people want to work with people they like working with. So the point of stories is to give people a reason to talk to you in any way. Talk about, why you like almond milk and you drink that in your coffee every day instead of oat milk, and just be interesting in some way to give someone to be a reason that when you do message them, oh yeah, I saw your story about oat milk versus almond milk. That was really funny. So I would think you really show your personality if you're using those stories.
This is a fun one. The best LinkedIn fail you've seen that actually got a lot of attention, or even your own personal best LinkedIn fail?
Where do I start? I get trolled all the time, a lot on like Instagram and Twitter, like way too much. So actually, I was in a post like 2 or 3 days ago. I think the original person put it down, but they screenshotted one of my LinkedIn posts, and the caption was "LinkedIn is a disease." And that post got 100,000 likes on it on Twitter. And I'm not kidding. If I show you my Twitter DMs from it, let me share my screen again, because these are just too comical. So that's another thing about putting content out on the internet, is you're gonna get a lot of hate. So if I go on Twitter, this is probably the most recent fail. And let me try to find this post. Okay. Nope, not this one. Give me 1 second. This is so good. Maybe it was deleted. Oh, here we go. So they deleted the original post. That original post had like 100,000 likes on it, but pretty much people were just like, pretty much it was a post about saying that you shouldn't be proud of being busy. And all these people are just saying, I'm such an idiot. And it was a pretty big LinkedIn fail. To me, it's funny when they talk smack like this. But these are all comments just like, Taylor's probably a blast at parties, blah, 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 boo, boo. Taylor's awful. Like, why are your eyes weird? Sorry, I was busy. What was that? Like, I mean, I'm not kidding. There are thousands of comments on this post. I can go forever. So unless you could take the negative, they're making fun of my LinkedIn profile, saying like, this shit can't be real, talking about my experiences. So unless you could really take the negative backlash and not really care about it, you might get thousands of comments if you do it well. So to me, I don't care. It's polarizing and it gets more views, but it's a lot of times people will troll you.
That's hysterical. More of a technical question now. How many posts per day is optimal?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's really important to get your posting framework. And this is what I kind of talk about in this LinkedIn playbook I made, but you have this framework and you have to test different things and learn. So you have these buckets of content, and it's kind of a matrix, what I call the posting matrix. So there's 5 types of posts you could do on LinkedIn. You could do a short form text, which is like probably 3 sentences tops. Long form, which could be up to 10 sentences, a GIF, a picture, or a video. And those are your 5 different types of content you could test. Then you could have your different posting buckets, and you have this matrix that you're building. In the buckets, you could talk about personal life. You could talk about professional life. You could talk about stuff going in the workplace. You could talk about whatever you want to talk about, that you're really passionate about. And you want to test a thing about personal life with a picture, test a thing about personal life with a short form piece of content. So you want to test, and when you're testing, you want to be posting 3 to 5 times a day, at least. The cool thing about LinkedIn is when you post, 2 things are going to happen. One, it's going to be a good post, and a lot of people are going to see it, and it's going to get picked up, and it's going to get a lot of eyeballs on it. 2, and if it doesn't do that, no one's going to see it, and it's going to get no eyeballs on it. So it doesn't matter. So like, you can't lose. Either you're posting and a lot of people are seeing and it's great, or no one's seeing it, and who cares because no one's seeing it. So I recommend people post as much as you're comfortable with, and post as much as you're comfortable with content you think is good. So if you can make 10 good pieces of content a day, post them. And there are some people that do that. So definitely just make good content and let it rip. And once you remember that either people are going to see it and it's going to be good, or they're not going to see it and it doesn't matter, then you'll have more confidence just to let it rip.
It's awesome. This one is about new brands. So for a new brand, would you post from a company account or as an individual at that company?
Yeah, great question. Definitely from an individual on LinkedIn, because individuals get way more reach and it's a lot more personable. Also, if you start thinking about some of the biggest brands, you think of Apple, you think of Steve Jobs, you think of Tesla, you think of Elon Musk, you think of even now, even more of these influencer brands, Kylie Cosmetics, or, these different brands. The person is almost as big as the brand. And in 2020, you almost can't not have a personal brand or have a person attached to a brand anymore. It's really important to show that personality because people want that authenticity. So I think you should definitely only post from your personal account. And if you're a founder, you should be building your personal brand. I know for founders, it's awkward. A lot of founders don't want to focus on it, but that helps you get customers. It helps you scale, and it helps people relate to your brand. They can see who's behind it.
That's amazing. Going back to kind of our conversation about naps, how do you balance doing things like social content, creating and boosting your job along with your own privacy and separation from your own company? So the balance between working and sharing, and also protecting yourself and your ability to kind of block out some of the unwanted attention.
Yeah, that's a really good question. That's a thing a lot of people struggle with. And this is a bigger issue around mental health, especially as people want to, when you're working all the time and it's very difficult, but also when you become a social media personality, you're posting, you almost feel like you're tied to this and you can't turn it off. So I think it's really important to almost segment out your time and audit your day. It's really easy to get carried away in doing the things you like doing and the things that give you dopamine. To me, I get dopamine from getting a lot of likes on a LinkedIn post. I'm aware of that. And I know that if I didn't manage my time, that's all I'd want to do all day. And I would prioritize doing more of that. So I really look at my day in buckets. So I only spend less than an hour a day on LinkedIn, Instagram, on everything kind of posting. And I try to be active on posting and then getting off the platform. And it's so easy to get in the rut of checking all the time. I turn off all notifications. So I could focus on, I still do run a business, a couple businesses actually. So I need to be very on top of my time. And when something's off, it's off. I don't think about it. I don't touch it. And then in terms of personal life, like I try to turn my phone off and go and do not disturb around 5 or 6 p.m. every day. And I'm done for the day. Like I don't want to work all the time. I'll go hang out with my girlfriend. I'll go do other things and I won't bring my phone with me. So it's really important to disconnect. Notifications are so bad. And especially business is 24/7 now. And it could be extremely overwhelming. And as someone who's dealt with mental health issues from business and not being able to turn off, you don't want to get to that extreme. So make sure you turn off your notifications and take those preemptive breaks before you burn yourself out.
That's really necessary, I would say. More of a creative question now. If you could create the perfect social media app, what would it look like?
Oh, good question. The perfect social media app, it would be tied to someone's real name. So I think TikTok is close to being one of the perfect social media apps. The only thing is it's not actually tied to a real person and a real name. And same with Twitter, because I don't like when people hide behind avatars. That's why I think LinkedIn's great, because LinkedIn, you're tied to your name. So you have to be posting content that you're comfortable posting as yourself. So I think it'd be tied to your name. And I think it'd be a platform where almost like a Reddit style platform, to be honest with you, where everything gets upvoted or downvoted. And that's how the platform works. It's almost democratized in the sense that whatever gets upvoted goes to the top and that's the best. And whatever gets downvoted don't get seen. And it's all about the consumers voting on what's the best content.
So before you talked about individuals accounts, are there any brands that have like an amazing presence that you think that people can model themselves off of?
Yeah, it's a good question. On LinkedIn, I don't think there's any brands that are doing really well there at all. There's some brands that are good on Instagram or good on TikTok. Um, but a lot of times brands are only as good as the people behind the brands. So even when you think of brands who are doing good on TikTok, there's a person there and you know them because that person behind the brand. I think now brands and people are meshing so much that, you know, a brand is a person. And when you think of a brand, you think of the people behind the brand. So in terms of brands doing well on LinkedIn, I'm not sure of any. Honestly, brands on Instagram, you guys probably think they're doing well. You look at their page, you see they have 1 million followers. Then you'll see they get 1,500 likes and they get 7 comments on a picture. And they're actually not doing that well. And a lot of brands too on Instagram are buying fake followers and fake likes. So I don't think brands do well on social media.
This question comes from Melissa in Brand Club. She says, I've been told to include my job title in my description so recruiters can find me in search versus something cute. What are your thoughts for job searchers? Do you have any advice for job searchers out there that put the little descriptions in? Does that work, or what do we think?
Yeah. So if you're looking for a job, I would put aspiring, whatever you want to be, aspiring mechanical engineer, aspiring, or looking for opportunities in mechanical engineering or computer science or whatever it is. Next, what I would do is I'd make a list of those 5 to 10 companies you want to work at and, you know, 20 people that you want to work for as a manager, and go connect with them on LinkedIn and see what they're talking about and just get in those conversations. You can go see all their posts, see what they're commenting, see what they're liking, see what they're doing, and get an idea for them. And then when they post, start commenting and start having a conversation. I promise you that if they do have an opening at a company and they've seen your name commenting on all their ads, they're going to look at your application differently because they're like, oh yeah, that person said some good, insightful comments over time. Like, yeah, I should talk to them. So go find out whatever companies you want to work for, go follow some of those people and go start commenting on their stuff.
This question is about blog content and writing platforms. So do you recommend any other writing platforms other than, I guess, LinkedIn, for example, Medium or Substack? Should you write new content for them, or should you recycle for your most popular posts?
Yeah, great question. So I think Medium and Substack are great platforms. The only thing with those is you have to drive the traffic there. So you don't automatically have eyeballs and consumers on your specific Medium URL or Substack URL. That's why I think LinkedIn's the best, because you're able to reach, you know, hundreds of thousands or millions of people on the platform. If you want to do longer form content, I would do it as an article on LinkedIn. Personally, I wouldn't try to, LinkedIn already has the eyeballs. So I would, you know, go on LinkedIn and try to keep the eyeballs there versus getting the eyeballs on LinkedIn and driving them to a separate page just to continue reading your content.
This one is about Pinterest. If you have any insight for that, would you consider Pinterest as a content deficient platform as well?
Yeah, I mean, to be totally honest with you, I don't know much about Pinterest. It's not something I'm interested in. I think Pinterest skews a lot more female. And what I've learned about Pinterest is it's a great platform to reach a lot of people if you have a brand that skews female. And I know a lot of people in that world with brands that skew female that do really, really well on Pinterest. To me, I'm more of a Reddit guy than a Pinterest if I'm going to use one of those platforms. And I wish I knew more about Pinterest. It just hasn't been of interest to me, but I've heard great things about it.
So this one is a little bit, it's a little deep, but do you believe that everything that you post on social media exists forever?
Yes, for sure. And I don't want to scare you when I say that. It does exist forever in some way, shape, or form. Even if you delete it, you know, they have records of it, or people could have screenshot it. You have to think whenever you push send on anything on the internet, it will live forever, even if you delete it. So once it's out there, it's out there. That being said, I believe there's so much information and stuff out there that it's like to dig through it and find it it's gonna be really hard to find for people. And, you know, I think we've shifted as a society in a lot of ways where it used to be like, don't put that on the internet. And now it's just like pretty much anyone that is active online, there's going to be shit on the internet about them that is taken out of context years later. And, you know, I think it's a lot more people are going to be more understandable. But yeah, I mean, you're not going to be perfect online. You're going to say things, that change over time. Some things might have been socially acceptable when you posted it 20 years ago. And to be honest with you, like some of the stuff I'm saying online right now, if I ran for president 40 years from now, would get dug up and used against me in a negative way. I think by then people are going to be a lot more understanding because everyone has stuff about them online. It's impossible not to. So I think people are going to understand a lot more.
It's okay. I would vote for you. You've got my vote, Taylor. All right. So far, we're going in a good direction. Speaking of politics, what are your thoughts on Twitter fights? Obviously, you get a little bit of heat. Do you engage back with that heat, or do you kind of just let people, just say what they want and, ignore them?
Yeah, great question. So trolls, no matter what you do online, there's going to be people who troll you. And that's just like, even the best, like I look at someone like Bill Gates, who has, spent his life and millions or billions of dollars to try to make the world a better place in so many ways. And there's so many conspiracies and people hating on him online saying he gave everyone coronavirus. So like if someone as good as Bill Gates, who's trying to do such a positive thing for the world, has people saying he's the one that got the 5G towers that injected us all with corona, you're going to get hate on you no matter what. It's impossible to not have people saying negative things about you. So you have two options. You could either take the hate personally and be affected by it, or you could really lean into it. And there's some really interesting people who have leaned into the hate because that on social media, it's a game of getting attention. So whether you're getting positive or negative attention, you're still getting attention, and that's still valuable in some way. And you could always shift the negative attention back to positive attention. So some people, Gary Vaynerchuk, perfect example. When I first saw Gary on social media, I hated him. I was like, this guy is so annoying. All he does is scream, hustle, hustle, grind. He's so stupid and I hate him. But I knew of him. And then he started saying some interesting things that like kind of made a little bit more sense. And now I like Gary. And I'm like, oh yeah, he talks about empathy and compassion. He's a good guy. So it's easier to take people from negative to positive. And we've seen this happen so many times over history, and if you could get that negative attention, as long as you can get the attention, you could always shift it back over if you could stomach the trolls. So some more good examples of this is like, Kim Kardashian first got famous from making a sex tape. That's when she first went fully mainstream. And now she's, a great role model. Logan Paul, he really blew up on the national level when he did the Suicide Forest video. And, then he went and donated a bunch of money to suicide prevention. He did some good things. And, he's shifting that perception. Dave Portnoy, he leans into people from and talks a lot of smack. So if you're able to stomach the negative attention, I think you turn it into positive. So for me, I don't take anything personally. I almost lean into the trolls. And when people just troll me or give them the negative attention, I just make a joke back and I just let it fuel fire and it gets bigger. And eventually that will turn into some positive attention. But right now I'm just capturing the attention. And I think once people get to know me at a personal level, I don't care if they start off hating me, they'll get to know me at some point and say, he's actually a good guy and I misunderstood him.
So speaking of controversy, how do you feel about public apologies that come through social media? Is that the proper platform to be, expressing, hey, I kind of messed this up, or is there a better way to kind of do that, you think? Isn't it?
I think public apologies are great. And at the end of the day, you can't kick someone that just kind of rolls over, and if someone admits yeah, I screwed that up, it was wrong. If people got so mad about me saying LeBron is busier than everyone, and I did a post saying, yep, that's my bad. I wasn't being compassionate for people that have young kids or this or that. And I didn't understand at the time. And I apologize. Not that I feel that way and not that I'm going to apologize for that because I still stand by my post. But if I did want to apologize for that, you can't hate someone who's apologizing if it's genuine. So if an apology is genuine, I think it's a great platform if you do change your mind, and people do change their mind. And it's okay to be a human, and it's okay to make a mistake, and it's okay to apologize for it.
Let's talk before we wrap up, just about thought leaders outside. You've mentioned quite a few, but who do you think, if we had to put together a list of the top influencers and leaders that we should be following right now, who do you think is at the top of that list?
Yeah, that's a good question. It really depends on what industry you're in. So I think every industry has different leaders you should follow. So I would really, it should be tailored towards you. I don't think there's one or any subset of catch-all leaders that you should follow. I mean, anyone who's posting positive stuff, you know, Gary has turned into posting a lot of positive stuff. Someone like Lewis Howes on social media posts a lot of positive, uplifting stuff. Jay Shetty, you know, these people that are positive, you can't go wrong with. But I would really look for people in your industry or people you aspire to be. And like, I mean, if I was anyone watching this right now, I would make a list, and this is what I do all the time. I make a list of 10 people I want to be like, you know, 10 people I really look up to, and I start following their stuff. Like one of those guys for me was a guy named D. Murphy. It still is. And I looked up to him in a lot of ways, and I still do. And, you know, he's a successful e-commerce entrepreneur, has a wife and kids and has a happy life and has all these friends. And I'm like, this is where I want to be in 10 years. So I started following him on Instagram, started commenting on his stuff, started, you know, eventually after commenting and talking to him for a while, this is one of my role models. I sent him a message like, hey, I'd love to meet up with you. He already knew my name because I was commenting on all of his stuff and I was active. And he's now one of my best friends, who's one of my biggest role models as well. So I would just find someone that you want to be in 10 or 20 years that you look up to in the holistic sense. So just because someone's crushing in a business, you know, that's only one aspect of life. Look at someone you really look up to in the holistic sense, and then start following them, engaging on their stuff. And it could be like D, where they turn into one of your best friends.
That's hysterical. We actually had D on this morning for the art of the drop.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, you guys are on the same day. Next time we'll do a panel with you guys together.
Yeah, I would love that.
That's amazing. All right, last question before we wrap it up. The single best way to use an organic following. Now you have all of these followers. What should we be doing with them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of people say, what do I do with a following? Why should I get a following? One, it's important just to build your personal brand, and you could see the dividends it pays in every aspect of life. So if you're ever talking to anyone, you know, if you have 100,000 followers versus having 200 followers, they're going to treat you differently. And it's superficial, but that's true. So one, on the personal brand level, it's important there, even in ways that if you don't know what you're going to do with it, just having it alone, people will treat you differently and you get better kind of service on things. Two, it's important not to force it. So you have to, once you have a following or growing a following, you have to engage their following, understand what they want and what they need and how you could service them and give them value. So yes, you always want to turn eyeballs into dollars, but only if you're actually giving value. So for a good example here is with my LinkedIn following, that crowd with what I'm posting on LinkedIn and who's following me on LinkedIn, they aren't the ideal Feet customer, you know, and I'm not the ideal spokesperson for Feet the way I represent myself on LinkedIn. Feet is a very premium, high quality, you know, athleisure company. And, you know, I'm kind of a punk on LinkedIn and I talk some shit. Like those brands honestly don't align. So I haven't been pushing Feet on my LinkedIn. I figured out what my LinkedIn audience wants, and they all want to grow on LinkedIn. They're all on LinkedIn. They're all active. So I made a LinkedIn playbook for them. And that came from getting thousands of messages from people saying, how do I grow on LinkedIn like you? How can you teach me what you're doing? So I packaged it up in a playbook, and now I sell a LinkedIn playbook to people. They're pumped to get it. It's only $100 and they get a ton of value. And I'm pumped because I'm providing value. So I think it's really important to understand what your audience wants. Don't try to force stuff that doesn't make sense for them, and really give them things that they find value in.
Where can we find that playbook?
It's just TaylorParkerAcademy.com. And if you go to my LinkedIn after this, Taylor Offer, hit a follow, and then it's in the featured section right there, as we talked about.
There here, folks. Follow Taylor Offer. Check out his book. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us here. And if you have another moment, we're going to keep the conversation going in the Slack community. I know there's even more questions on over there. And obviously you can connect with Taylor through cold message. Don't cold message him, comment, give him a bunch of likes, you know, show him some love, give a, you know, write a blog post about why he's the best person on LinkedIn, and maybe you can become friends like D. So once again, thank you so much for your time. I'll let you go, and hopefully we can connect with you in the Slack channel.